everyone, and welcome to ElectroNeek presentation of our new product in IntelliDocs. I'd like to welcome everyone who joined. Everybody continues. We are 1 minute from the start. I'd like to introduce myself and my colleague Conrado before we go live. We have a lot to tell today, but even more important to show you all. So let's start with quick intros. My name is Dmitry Karpov. I'm co-founder and chief product officer of ElectroNeek Robotics. Today is with me Conrado, my favorite colleague and the product owner for many of our web automation products. So today we're going to give you a look and feel of our new product, very powerful product that we worked our heads down for a while, IntelliDocs, and discuss how it works, why we build this for IT service companies, and how IT service companies and managed service providers can build a business or improve their existing service with intelligent document processing plus all the automation tools available on the platform. So without further ado, let's get started. Let me share my screen. So the topic of this revenue is about revenue with IntelliDocs, not just IntelliDocs, because our goal is not just to show you another awesome technology that makes it from the world of enterprise automation to managed service providers, but to discuss how you can monetize it in an effective way and give you some examples of what our clients do in different countries and how they're able to monetize document streams. I know that for some of you, managing processing documents for your clients is the business you are already. Some of you, it may be new. What's so important for the second category? This business, while was always profitable, in my opinion, was a bit hard to start because the tools that exist in the market were complex and expensive for mid-size and small businesses. And while now we're bringing you this tool, we essentially lowering the barrier to start. And we want you to think about this. If you're not processing documents for your clients yet, if you're not monetizing these document streams, maybe it's time to start today. So hopefully we'll change your mind. So again, Dmitry and Conrado will be with you for the next 30 minutes. We will allocate enough time for Q&A, maybe 5 to 10 minutes in the end. We do have chat in this Zoom. We do have Q&A section that you can use. We will be happy to address all the questions now, or we'll be happy to follow up later. If you have greater interest in what we do, you can always meet our team and do a product demo and learn more. So let's get started. So IntelliDocs is intelligent document processing tool, and that's another product inside our automation hub that grows in functionality with every release we do, where you can set up your own API for document processing of your clients. So you set up an API, you can call this API from ElectroNeek Studio, from any other service, and what happens? Any document that goes to this black box will be automatically classified. What is the document type in front of us? The IntelliDocs will do that for you. And all the data will be extracted from this document in a structured way according to the model of this document. So if it meets invoice, it will exactly extract the key invoice parameters automatically. No work needed. Not a no-code, low-code at all. All happens automatically. And then you can take this data and use other automation tools inside our platform to do the data entry in any system of your choice. So what is IntelliDocs capable for? It's 26 document categories, IDs, invoices, passports, different types of agreements, and other common documents, multiplied by a variety of languages that the model supports. As a result, it works with around 900 model types. And again, it will figure out what the document is in front of that, what language is that, and do all the extraction automatically. So for the last, in this winter, we did a couple of beta tests with our clients who are in the business of intelligent document processing. We gave them IntelliDocs earlier than to other clients. And the feedback we captured from them was quite positive, not only on the technology side in terms of the accuracy of data extraction or how it works in general, but when it comes to our business model. And that's something I'd like to emphasize in the end of our webinar. We not only took a technology known in enterprise and brought it to IT service providers, we also significantly changed the rules of the game in this business. For instance, with many other tools, you need to pay for each document stream you create for clients. With ElectroNeek, you don't need to do it. Create as many streams as you want. With other service providers, each time you set up an account for your own client to get billed, you get some discount on the volume based on this client account. With ElectroNeek, client accounts are combined at one, so whatever the volume benefit, you get it, and the page recognition becomes much cheaper for you. So without further ado, let us give you a flavor of what IntelliDocs is by showing how it works. And I asked my colleague Conrado to share his screen to demonstrate both IntelliDocs product and how it works in Studio and what kind of results it can produce.
Thank you, Dimitri. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening. So just before I demo the bot on how to use IntelliDocs for processing documents, I would like to navigate with you into the IntelliDocs page. So this page enables you to create multiple document streams and adapt your reselling strategy once you are acquiring this product. Once a new document stream is created, a key is generated, and you are ready to go to scan your customers' documents. Now let's take a closer look on the product integration itself. So in this demo, we're gonna scan this folder with a bunch of unknown documents. So we don't know previously which are those document types. And IntelliDocs is capable of reading and classifying the documents, while the Studio Pro is an RPA tool that we build the automation flow for it. So in this example, the RPA will read through the directory that I wanted and send the files to IntelliDocs in order to recognize different document types, such as invoices and driver license. Just a reminder, there is no actually data document typing modeling right now hard-coded into the RPA bot. Let's say the bot comes across an invoice. Studio Pro will recognize, it will send the email with an approval for the invoice into this specific flow that we designed it into the RPA bot. And if it's a driver license, the content of the email will change, it not ask you for unrequired approval into the email. So let's see the bot action in action. Meanwhile, the bot is running. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A session here, right?
It's interesting that in this demo, the recognition process itself takes much faster time than it takes to pretty much get the document and generate the email and send it and in action. But it's ironically the most complicated AI-based steps in the workflows become one of the fastest steps to execute.
All right. So when I go back to my email here, you can see those 4 documents that were in the folder were already recognized, not only the document type, but also the fields that are inside each attachment there. So for invoices, we built an workflow for approvals. So it recognizes it's an invoice and asks for someone to approve this document. But for drive license data, it just sends the raw data of the license drive itself. So you can imagine the potential of automating workflows depending on the document types you might have there. So by using IntelliDocs plus Studio Pro integration, you can automate the entire document processing workflow. This can save your business time and money while reducing the risk of errors, of human errors, more specific. So thank you for your attention, and I get back to you, Dimitri.
Thank you, Conrado. So IntelliDocs is a new product inside Automation Hub, and let me talk for a few minutes about how it complements the ElectroNeek automation toolset that is available to IT service and managed service providers only. Workflow itself, stuff that does the work. That's what ElectroNeek is famous for with our innovation in the market of pretty much letting developers build and run, that's most importantly, run unlimited number of attended or unattended workflows completely free of charge from the vendor side. We do have a Studio Pro. You see it behind me. It's around 150 activities that are no code, drag and drop. We aggressively add activities this year, every month. And these are the desktop and web-based automation. ElectroNeek is the only one platform that also is integrated with Zapier, which brings around 5,000 integrations to the platform available to you. We are expanding the functionality of this connector, and that's a topic for the future, for the future events. Whatever you build in Studio, connecting other tools, you can actually download from our recipes. It's another part of the automation hub. That's where we have practical examples of what can be automated with end-to-end business case or end-to-end technical case, which you can download or just watch how it's being built. And learning there, you will see that some of the most powerful automations in the area of, let's say, B2B sales, for instance, can be built within like an hour or 30 minutes with a skilled developer. So that's something that makes the automation built in Studio much more practical, allows you to easier go to market, and IntelliDocs and IntelliDocs recipes will become an essential part of what we drive there. Different document types, different workflows for what will be done with a recognized document, where the data will be entered. That stuff you will find in the recipes. Our automation suite comes with a feature called bot protection, which is about deploying bots for your clients without sharing your IP, with retaining your IP, which is very important when you sell bots by subscription. And for many of our clients in mid-market and SMB space, that's the way to deliver automation to clients, to put them on subscription plan for the bots they have and start charging for either bot run or on a monthly basis. As a result, their recurring revenue is being generated. So where IntelliDocs fits into that? Each step in the workflow as we are in 2023 becomes more complex, more powerful, while at the same time workflows became easier. The workflows that can rather show you on the computer, if they will be created using just Google OCR, for instance, and manual mapping of the JSON file extracted from Google OCR, you will run into the situation when the code that you need to create for that, the workflow itself, the logic, becomes pretty lengthy. It takes significant time to build and maintain. With IntelliDocs, it's just one function, recognize the document, and it gives you the same two results at the same time: the model type, the confidence, and all key model parameters. If you attended our workshop on integration of ElectroNeek and ChatGPT last month with practical examples, great. If not, please watch that. I think it's one of the most fascinating things that comes to the automation world, and we will see more and more native integrations and native functions related to OpenAI. We feel connected. We are Y Combinator company. We got into Y Combinator when Sam Altman was leading that. And we see the future of automation. It's more smart steps, more AI-powered steps, and the workflow of free attended and unattended bots connecting that all together. We think this is the foundation for scalable automation business in any market segments. So let's talk about the business a bit. Let's talk about how to monetize all these things that exist here. One thing before I move away from to the financial side. It's our standard offering for all our new clients. Our first project is on us. For some of our higher tier clients who want to start bigger, every project can be on us. We provide development support, and that really differentiates our service in the market. If you think that these technologies are too complex for your team to start, or you need to train them, or you need to hire someone, leverage our development support to get started. We can do a POC to increase their confidence in ability to deliver, and in your ability to grasp all these technologies and become proficient in delivering them. So let's talk about how to monetize that. So in the past, of course, you can charge your client per page, and that was the famous strategy. Or moreover, client pays you for the implementation, for time and materials, and you walk away leaving client and the vendor alone. That's not the model of managed document recognition business. And we encourage all of you to create subscription plans for your clients. When you say, okay, how many pages you need to recognize a month? 15,000. Okay, great. Let me essentially, you will be billed in the end of the period, or you can take upfront payment the way you want. What's important, with every recognized page, your client saves time on the document extraction, validation, and also with RPA, and only with RPA, the data entry itself. And quite frankly, data entry is more time-consuming task than data extraction in general. Depending on the business you work with, depending on the industry, you likely will see a lot of documents that can be processed automatically because they're so standard to the tools that work with them. But what about data entry? Data entry remains manual in majority of companies, and that's where the offering that combines the document recognition and RPA data entry becomes much more attractive for the client. And we do have examples of our relatively small clients in terms of like how many, the team size, like 15, 20 people, building workflows for mid-market companies for invoice processing at $45,000+ a year. It's a subscription-based workflows. Of course, small portion that goes towards the recognized pages itself. You need to power any of the recognition process with computing power, which costs money, but that's your revenue upside. So how we recommend going about building a recurring revenue with IntelliDocs? Start with subscription for the documents. Then with ElectroNeek model, you don't pay for the data entry. So you can start thinking about where the data should be entered for these documents. Let me just cover everything possible with bots built for the client. And maybe you will be selling these bots by time and materials, very traditional way to deliver RPA in enterprise, a bit less traditional for smaller clients and for mid-market. But once you build your foothold and presence with the client, think about this. Don't charge a client for the initial implementation. Put all their bots on subscription basis using ElectroNeek bot protection feature. So you can mitigate the risk and leaving to you and you eating the initial investments and building the bots. And quite frankly, if you're building similar bots for similar clients, likely you'll effort to adjust the pre-built bots for the client-specific data entry tasks will be higher. So as a result, you can go downstream if you prefer to the documents that clients are willing to pay, $10,000 to $15,000 a year. But again, that's what we hear from our clients: $40,000+ in North America, $25,000+ in Latin America. I think if you are in a Latin player, in still big opportunity as well as accounts payable in general. So we do have more than 10 minutes for Q&A. I see that we do have 12 questions, and let's start unpacking them. Does it work the same way in any language, Brazilian or Portuguese? Let me take this answer. So that depends on the document model, specific document model. So the combination, the document model itself is a combination of language and category of the document. For many categories, we do have Portuguese. For some categories, we may not have Portuguese. You can learn that by meeting our team, but given our continuous investments in this area, we will expect more and more languages and models and combinations of those. Why is it important to classify a document type? What happens when a new document comes? So why it's important? Because you want to make sure that the data you extract from the document matches exactly the data in the document. And for this, before extracting the data, the model needs to recognize what's in front of that. And in early days of RPA with OCR technology and no IDP, what have been done, people created their own classifiers because you pretty much know what data to extract from invoice, at least the set of variables. But you don't know if it's an invoice in front, if you're something else. And before you start the extraction process, it's important to recognize. Why we emphasize this during this presentation? Depending on the document type, you may trigger a completely different workflow for the processing this document. At the same time, it's very convenient when you create one or a few ways for a client to send their documents to. You send a client whatever the document is, send it to this email, or the bot will be running that through this folder. You create a standard processing that then has logical branches dependent on the document type. And the document type, for instance, can trigger different ways to do the data entry or involve people in human in the loop process to, for instance, in our example, approve the invoice recognition process. And many companies prefer to keep human in the loop for some type of documents, not for other types of documents. So that's why this feature is quite important for the business. Pictures, and does it work with pictures? Yes, it does. Next question is this automatic OCR? Can be called automatic OCR. It's not the industry term, but you can think about this as an OCR on steroids. You can think about IntelliDocs as an OCR that always will consist of one step and will return you the exact accurate data from the document. Hamad, looks like you are our client. You're asking about the page limits, how you can get more. Sure, you can go to the billing section and you will see the add-ons and you will see IntelliDocs there. That's the starting point for that. Is IntelliDocs free or it's a paid service like Microsoft OCR? That's a paid service, which is part of ElectroNeek subscription plan. So you can learn more by meeting our sales team, how it exactly works. But as a new client, you will be getting some pages on a continuous basis with your ability to increase the number of pages you need if your business requires more. Okay. So there's a question, how do we select desired data from documents? How does the extracted data comes out back to us? It comes as a JSON file where after the model, after the recognized model type, there will be essentially an array of parameters that is unique to every model. For invoice, it's invoice parameters. For ID, it's invoice ID. And pretty much then you're dealing with the variables. So you already, the next step from the recognition can be calling out any specific variable to do anything with that. For instance, enter that in any system. And pretty much you just need to know what to enter based on the document type. Or if it's a new document comes in, you will see response that the model cannot recognize the document. It's very interesting. The IntelliDocs, as many other intelligent document processing tools, works with standard models. But of course, and we know that you will be trying any document type inside, the results will be, let's say, unique to the document. Sometimes IntelliDocs does the job really well, even for unknown model types, when it can match it to some similar model. Sometimes it does not. So it's about dealing with standard models, and you need to make sure that the model is supported by IntelliDocs, but there's hundreds of them and will be thousands in the future. The question, for example, if we are working in QA department and we have to analyze a product, if the pack is correct or not, based on the pictures or some tag is implemented or not. That's a good question. So as I understand it, this will be about the image and maybe image of the label or packaging. So if the question is about extracting the data from label, that's what IntelliDocs can do with high certainty, depending on the label. If it comes to the point where based on the image, we need to make some judgment about the quality of packaging or whether it's sealed or not, that's not the functionality of IntelliDocs, but that's where you can build your own custom solution. And this really depends on the complexity of cases. Some of our clients, they are very active in, I would say, processing data from video cameras, for instance, to make some judgment about safety or something required for the audit. But in general, that's not something that is very common for mid-market and SMB segment. Is this the OCR tool from ElectroNeek or is it the third-party engine? So we built this tool in partnership with a company that we're going to announce soon, but it's not about like white labeling their technologies. That's a true partnership for us in terms of bringing the technology inside the platform to build a product together. As you can understand, this is pretty complex things to build, and we decided that not just keeping that inside ElectroNeek will require significantly expanding the team of experts we have. So we decided, and for more than a year, we're looking for the right team to partner with, and the result is quite successful. Can be customized for any document or a company is using or only typically known things like invoices, driver license, etc. Again, it works with standard models, but there's so many of them that the question of customization should come after you compare what you want to process versus what you already have inside. Question by Raphael: at what level of subscription will be available? We made in 2023 like IntelliDocs available only to silver and gold partners, because they typically are their likelihood of being successful in document processing is higher in terms of they already do have this or they plan to start. So we understand that for someone who is not in document processing business, we'd like to make a bigger investment to help you get started. So we decided that IntelliDocs will be something we award to silver and gold partners. There is a question: is there any way to practice using your page balance? And the question for practice, the reason for practicing comes from the point that when you build a workflow, that's not necessarily provides the benefit for yourself or for the client when you just build in that. At the same time, pages are being consumed. But to my earlier point, any kind of document processing requires computing power, which costs money, and we had choices. We decided to make a win-win in terms of making the price per page as low as possible from our side, but at the same time, on top of the balance that we give to all partners on a monthly basis, we cannot give much. So, but you can create practice test work streams inside IntelliDocs as you will do for any other client, and that's pretty standard practice. Is there an option for custom models? Not at this moment. There is no option for custom models. I see many questions about the custom models. So the IntelliDocs, again, was working based on the knowledge it accumulated inside itself. And you can try different model types, but the right practice will be following models we do have and see if they fit your current clients or your existing business needs. There's a question: can it work on scanned documents? Of course, that's the core of that. It can actually recognize the handwriting as well. Yes, there's a question about this. What kind of document formats? A lot. You can look up in our API documentation. That's pretty long list. Please give some examples of how IntelliDocs has helped different industry. So in general, our clients, majority of our clients are industry agnostic. We give IntelliDocs to more than, I think, 10 clients altogether. And they work across healthcare, for sure. I can confirm that from beta tests. They work in human resources, in finance, but these are more functions rather than industries themselves. And examples of how IntelliDocs help specific industry, we can probably theorize a lot. Think about any company that needs to process invoices or deals with ID level data, or pretty much sometimes for those of you who are not in RPA, it's hard to believe that any company independent of size has routine processes. But there are 4 billion documents or trillion documents created in the United States every year, and majority of them are processed digitally. And majority of them are processed by companies and mid-sized companies. And pretty much absolute majority of the documents fit into 26 category types that we are focusing on, which means that whoever spends time on looking at any digital document and then typing in the data into any system, whether it's a web form or SAP or anything else, I wouldn't say wasting time, but you can bring efficiency to this process. And number of examples is just numerous. Multiply number of category types to number of industries, and you will get pretty big set of examples. And again, we added more and more of them to the recipes inside the platform. Is it similar to digital document processing? If not, what is the difference in both? Let me take this question as the last one. Digital document processing in general means there's digital document comes in, some automation happens after that. The major difference comes into how the automation is being built. In very let's say, standard approach in industry that doesn't, in companies that don't use intelligent document processing is about, okay, the document comes in. For each document, I create a separate path so clients know where to send what types of documents, or I'm creating a manual classifier for them. And then I map the data manual. I'm saying, okay, invoice, where the customer name is in the right top corner. Okay, let me highlight the right top corner. And or working with JSON file that just has all the text from the document, and say, okay, look there for customer name, and then copy the text next on the right to customer name, things like that. That's the document processing. Intelligent document processing, which IntelliDocs powers, is about doing the same, but in a very automated way. So developers don't need to think about the corner cases, don't need to think about mapping the document, which not only is easier to build, but it's much, much easier to maintain. Okay, sorry, I see questions continue coming. Technical, we're going to do a technical workshop on IntelliDocs on the last week of the month. Some of them are business, and that's something that our sales team can help you to get your hands on by, providing you all the data you may be interested in and doing the more detailed demo of the product. Please use this QR code to book a meeting. So unfortunately, we can't answer all the questions. I see a lot of interest in what models and customization of models. I think that if you're about to build a business in document processing, you should think about steps. This case is much more replicable compared to any unique custom model case that your existing clients may have. So we will be happy to help you make the first steps in IDP. And again, the biggest goal in this market is in standardization of the models and the cases you can do for clients. If you do a few examples around one document type, your offering in the market becomes much more powerful, specialized. You're an expert now in invoice processing or things like this. Thank you so much. We'd be happy to stay in touch as always. And thanks everyone for coming and the attention today. Thank you.